terrain, pull up, pull up.
Here's what we flew. We flew the Sonic 64, which is a induction motor. I've made this little 3D printed holder up for me camera. Battery just sits in under the hood, and 3S. I've got some onboard footage of that, but it's only through the Fat Sharks. But that's my little camera. That's really nice to fly. That'd be nice on a really smooth day. I've had that for about 3 years. That thing really easy to fly, fun to fly. The other thing we flew was the Twin-Netic. Now you'll notice the motor mounts are different. These are the Bixler motor mounts that you get off Thingiverse, and I find that this motor keeps coming loose. So what we've done, we've made another one. We've put one of those cross pieces in there and bolted it onto the mount, and then mounted the motor on a cross piece and then bolted that to it. So that'll alleviate it. I think it's just the rotation of that one causes it to come loose, even with Loctite. So that is really fun to fly. There's my little camera up the front there. Tiny little camera, 3 volt with 25 milliwatt transmitter. Put a new nose in the front of it, just glued that on, and put these race style props on there. And that thing's an absolute dream to fly. But I tore one of the lights off, so I didn't think I'd give it another flight and just muck it up. Plus it's getting pretty windy, as you can probably tell. Wind's coming from that direction. So that is the Twin-Netic. So yes, new motor mount, had new servos put in there, and yeah, just an all-round fun thing to fly. This, I've actually split the body on this and widened it, so you can see that piece in there. The reason being is you can't put a big battery in, so now I can slide a 2200 3S or a 1300 4S up the guts of it to get the CG and still be pretty good. This is tail heavy. I had a question about why do I like tail heavy. Did I kind of make a mistake? This is tail heavy, and it's fun to fly tail heavy. And the reason I've got it tail heavy is because it's always been so nose heavy. It always just smacks the nose and breaks it, as you can tell there. So I like to have this, and it virtually takes off. It virtually goes vertical when you take off with this thing. It's just really fun to fly. You got to point the nose at the ground all the time to keep it going, but heaps of expo in there, and with the dual rates, and it is really fun to fly. It's probably one of my favourite planes, that one. Well, the Tek-GlueMo, I really think it's had its day. We were going so well, having a great time. We had the thrust vectoring thing happening, and anyway, I just think there's too much glue holding this together, and we fell out of the sky, and yeah, game over. So I honestly think after 50 goes of putting this back together and gluing it and screwing it and rooting it up in the air, I think this is going to be the first plane that I've ever thrown away. A little bit sad, but actually that's what's happened there. That's why we fell out the sky post-mortem. Look at that. That's come off that screw in there. I had them glued on. So yeah, that's why we crashed. Wondering what happened there. So yeah, I think the Tek-GlueMo old version is going to be scrapped. First scrapper. I took this out last week and lost it. Lost it in 2 ways. Lost it in the sky, lost it in the paddock, and we crashed. And we did a motor. So I had a spare motor, put the spare motor on. Props were all smashed. That was the only thing that happened to break these little standoffs in here that holds that on. Everything else was fine. and basically came out here today, got it all set up, good to go, and the motors don't want to start. So obviously something wrong there in the setup. But that's my redone quad, and I've also set that up with the Joshua Bard. We'll turn the filters off and lower the D whatevers and yada yada yada. So this is what we ended up flying. This is my Space 1 Cadet, and it's got the custom top on it, which is, as you can see, it's been modified to get everything in there, run the crossfire system. And these are beautiful motors. These are 2300 kVs, the fires, and little B30 amp ESC, good for 6S this thing. But I just putt around. It was just nice to take a bit of a run out. We've had a fair bit of rain, first bit of rain we've had here in a couple of months, and it's just nice to go up and get a bit of an overall perspective of the land, and just see what we've got. Good to see a bit of moisture in the joint. So anyway, Andy, we don't always get perfect weather, but it is winter. The sun is shining, and look, we've got a jumper. We've got a jumper on. It's frigging cool, laddie. So we've got a jumper on. So Andy, yes, we do get terribly crap weather, as you can tell. Look at that, it's pretty windy, and still all the flies. Look at all the flies here. Come on, guys, flies. So gonna go home, have some lunch, and then go and do a night shift.